You should see, I just had, my,
Settle down.
is this the only place I get to see the Haddads now? Oh, my God. Well, you know what? I'm retired. I'm proud of it. Retired. Oh, you know, there's 12 lights between me and Thornton's Ferry School.
Do you know how bad it's gonna be when
All of it opens.
all the apartments open up?
It's
and
everywhere.
Everybody that's losing Merrimack full-time is gonna be.
But all of our taxes are going down.
Oh, yeah, in apartments?
Going up penny by penny.
We don't make too much on apartments.
Never mind all our other fees that keep going up.
Right?
Medicare and
They
prescription.
kept it at a penny because the water bill's gonna.
Okay.
Well, it's just, we just have to introduce ourselves and then you approve the minutes. So
Oh,
it's
can't blame it on you. What, you're already here. We should-
No, we're good. I even got my minutes.
The rule is that you blame it on who's not here.
How are you?
Oh,
He
there you
left
go.
the- he left the meeting.
Are you ready for tomorrow night
What's
too?
going on over there? They're having a meeting.
more or less.
Do you need people there?
Yeah, and I'll talk about that in a bit.
Okay. All right, good evening, 7:04, and Michelle is not here. It's all right. Oh, yeah, sure.
Is it okay if I take pictures?
Absolutely.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Are you doing minutes, Tracy?
Yes, I'm working on it.
Oh, you are, because I don't mind doing them.
I said, put on my laptop for you. I can type better than I can write.
I love you. Look I set up my own format, because I don't, do you want, what do you
I'm
need?
good.
Okay, your pen.
I'll tweak this and I'm gonna send it to Michelle so that she can formalize it however she wants to.
Thank you for doing that. I'm such a spaz on that stuff. Okay, good evening, friends, and welcome to the monthly meeting of the Merrimack Park and Recreation Committee. It is November 20th, and it is 7:05. And I want to welcome everybody who's here. Thank you for coming. First thing is introductions. I am Laura Janes, Chairman of the Parks and Rec Committee for Merrimack, and I'll start to my left.
Matt Kasparius, Director of Parks and Recreation.
Lon Woods.
Town council.
Oh, right, I'm sorry. I'm council rep.
Tracy McGraw, member.
My apologies.
And
You're fine.
part-time secretary.
Substitute.
Julie Poole, committee member. Abby Cody, student representative.
Maureen Hall, senior representative.
Christine Lavoy, Vice Chair.
And we do have some people present this evening. Would you like to introduce yourselves, friends?
So I'm Brian Stevens. I'm standing in as Jay's Eagle Advisor.
Thank you.
I'm Jay Haddad. I'm a Scouting Troop 44, going for my Eagle.
And we have two members of the public. Good evening. Could you just, Justin, right? Pretty soon he'll belong to himself. Well, thank you for coming, and Jay, good job. Thank you for being here. Quickly, we just need to approve our minutes from September 18th. We did not have a meeting in October due to many reasons, and so that's that. So we have the minutes, if you have them, of September 18th. I will take a motion when you're ready to approve the minutes. That was the meeting where we met James and
Yep.
all that. You have, a motion.
I'll motion to accept the meeting minutes from September 18th.
Thank you, Christine.
Second.
Lavoy. Second from Lon Woods. All those in favor?
Hold up.
Yep. 2,
Laura, you
3,
count.
5. Yes.
Yes.
6, 0, 1. Right, did you get one abstain?
You don't count me.
No, we don't.
And I abstained because I wasn't here, so.
Correct. And not attending. Perfect.
Try this one more time.
One more time.
One more time. Raise your hand if you were here and you
You
approve of the
approve it.
minutes.
One,
Oh,
two,
come on, Abby. Be enthusiastic.
5, 5, 0, 2 then. Is your-
Thank you, Christine. That's why we have a co-chair. All right. Would you like the lights off, Mr. Haddad? Or are you all set?
I think you can see it, it's fine.
Yeah,
It's
alright.
continuous lighting up, so.
Yeah.
Okay, I have some, hand out second pass.
Thank you very much, Jay. That'd be great.
I only have 6, so would you do my sharing one?
That's fine.
Not at all. Can I just ask what grade you're in now?
I'm a junior.
Junior. Excellent.
There you go.
And I love seeing things to Wasserman myself. Thank you. Thanks, sweet.
There you go. And would you do my chair?
Yeah, we can share.
Alright, so thank you all very much for having me here today. So as you can tell by the title, I will be converting an old cabin down by Washington Park into a changing room, and included with a bathroom, and we're gonna just do some basic renovations. As I've said, I'm Jay Haddad. I'm in Life Scout in Troop 424, and this is my stand-in Eagle advisor, Mr. Stevens, or Brian Stevens. He's standing in for my actual advisor, Eric Faust, or Mr.
Oh, yeah.
Faust, who could not make it today. Okay, so it's not going to be too long. Just a couple things I want to go over. Just the introduction, sort of a little bit of what I've already said, and just like kind of go over the goal a little bit more. The proposed project, I'll go more in depth on what I'm planning on doing. Why this project? Like I'm just going to kind of talk about how it's there and how it's not being used. Cost and fundraising, I'm going to go over like the total price, estimated price it's going to cost, and how I plan on making that money. Timing the project, or when I'll start it, which is today, and then when I'll plan on having it done, and then any questions if you have any at the end.
Great. Thank you, Jay.
All right, so
There you go. Loose line.
all right, well, if you have the, all right, I guess I'm gonna keep doing that. Well, the handouts have the same thing that's gonna be up on the board anyway, so I'll just continue. Oh, no, it's good. Okay.
Don't
All right.
breathe. Nobody breathe.
So, I've already introduced myself a couple times. I'm currently the junior assistant scoutmaster with the JASM for Troop 424. It just kind of means that I am the correspondent between the scouts and the adults. So I just make sure that there's an understanding between whenever a decision is made in either of the groups, I make sure that both groups understand what's happening. I'm on the road to Eagle. These are my first few steps, with many more to come. I'm a junior at Merrimack High School. My goal is to convert this unused space, which is like in a very good position, to be usable and be useful to the camp.
Perfect.
Okay, so quick short history from what I understand about the cabin. It was originally used as a sort of living place for the lifeguards. They used it to either store, not really live there, but store their stuff there, and like there was a shower and a bathroom there. But it's been in disrepair and not been used for quite some time, and it's been sort of used more of a storage place for things that don't have anywhere else. So it's just in a bit of a mess. And oh, I already said that. Okay, so that's just where the shed's at right now. So what I propose to do is I'm going to take this cabin, which is in a very good place, very close to the primary waterfront of Washington Park. So it's in a very good spot to be a changing room for the waterfront. We'll be tearing down one of the main walls of the building, making sure that it's still able to support the ceiling, which it should be. And we'll be adding as many stalls as we can to change, which we've estimated, or we figured out that it's 5 normal size stalls and 2 either handicap or family size stalls.
Perfect.
The handicap's a bit of a problem because there's stairs there, but I think it should still work. We'll be renovating the bathroom because there is toilets and sink there. They're kind of old and water does run to this room, but we'll be fixing it, repairing it, and getting new toilets and sinks and making it look nice. We're gonna get new lights to brighten up the space and just make it look a lot better all around. We're gonna be painting the walls on the inside, including the walls that we'll be putting up as the changing stalls and some of the walls that are already there. And then we're gonna be adding railings to the front stairs, which are right now just a few stone slabs in front of it, just to ensure safety. Okay, so this is what it looks like right now. It's just a simple room or a simple building with four rooms. The dimensions are up there. Those aren't too important to what I'm talking about right now. But basically, this smaller room to the bottom left, that's the bathroom right now, that's not going to be changed much besides adding stuff to it. But then the rest is just what the room was used to be. So this is currently, this is my plan to change it. That back wall, that was the wall that stood alone with the door in the center, we're going to be removing that wall and to maximize the space inside of the area. We're going to be adding 5 stalls and 2 handicap stalls to still make sure that there's room to enter it from the primary sort of storage front area, and still enough room to enter into the bathroom. And with this, we have 5 43-inch by 40-inch rooms with, I think it was like a 32, just check my plans real quick. It was a 32-inch or 35-inch door, so it's plenty of space to get in. And there's, on every stall, there's a foot-long seating area, and there's going to be a coat hanger in every room to hang things on. Okay, so for leadership, one of the primary things, or the most important parts of making this project happen, is the fundraising. I'll be leading scouts and adults that volunteer to help me, and just to make sure that we get this done efficiently, and to make sure that we inform people about what we're doing so they know what they're donating for and helping me do. I'm going to be making sure everyone's doing their job to maximize efficiency and make sure that we can do as much as we can as quickly as we can, so we can start actually working on the project once we have enough money. The work days, so I'm going to make sure the work days are scheduled in a way that's that is most convenient for everyone, to make sure that as many people can go as possible, to again finish as soon as possible. Because as I have a goal, even getting it done faster than that goal would be good. Making sure that everything goes smoothly to ensure quality of work. If everyone has a goal and everyone's given the goal everyone has a task that I've given them, if that goes well and I make sure that everyone's doing the job that they can do best, then that would ensure the quality of this building and just make sure it looks as good as it can look. And one thing I'm going to make sure is that safety is maintained #1 priority for the scouts that are helping me on this project, and for the people that will be using this building in the future, so that we'll make sure nothing's wrong with it, and we'll make sure that it works for a good amount of time after we're done with it. Okay, so the total cost is going to come, as estimated, this price could go up or down varying, is $1,676 and around 28 cents. This is just looking at everything, including the wood, for the stalls, the coat prongs, the covers for the windows, so that we can still let light in without letting people see through, the tiles for the floor, the vinyl tiles for the floor, toilet, sink, just everything that we need for this. I can leave this up for a little bit if anyone wants to really look at it. This is the standard price if by going to Lowe's without buying anything in large amounts or getting discounts. So this is what the price would be if I bought all these things like singularly, and so this is probably around the max price that it could cost. So it could go down, which is what I'm hoping for, but I still think that this is a pretty decent price for the project that I'm doing, and I'm fairly certain that me and the scouts that are going to help me can raise this money. Would anyone like me to stay on the slide for a minute? Go ahead.
No, you're doing good. A lot of cakes. You're doing good.
So for fundraising, I've talked about the leadership that's going to be involved in this, but the primary form of fundraising is going to be bake sales, since this is done in sort of the cold months. Car washes and things that involve warm weather can't really be done in like February or January. So we will be setting up bake sales outside of supermarkets such as Shaw's and Market Basket, especially in the February months. Hopefully towards the Super Bowl season, I plan on doing a fundraiser to hopefully get a lot of people coming through to maximize the amount of money I bring in. And adults and scouts that volunteer to help me with these, I'll leave them to make sure that we make the amount of money needed and that everything happens as quickly as possible. They make everything that I need them to make, and as long as they're willing to do it. So for timing, today the Merrimack Parks and Rec approval. If I get that done today, that'll lead me on to the next few steps, which are mainly the approvals, which take up a large chunk of time. There's a town council approval in about a month. The troop committee approval, which is just my troop of kind of going over my workbook to see what I'm doing. And then all of this leading up to the Eagle Board approval on February 11th, which is where the town Eagle Board will review my book and tell me whether or not they approve me to go forward. So once I get all those approvals, I will be fundraising between that date, the Eagle Board, February 11th, through March 31st. So in between those dates, around 4 days total, I think it's gonna take us to raise all that money. Assembling the changing rooms will happen between March 1st and June 1st. We won't wait until we get all the money to start. As soon as we start making some money, we can start buying and working as we go, so we can fundraise and have work days as we go on. And then the bathroom lights and painting will happen between May 1st and then June 15th, which will take, I think, around maybe 2 or 3 days, probably more around 2. Some of those might be mixed in around more. That's just what I'm going for, but it might mix up depending on who I can get when and what they specialize in. So my main goal is for the project to be done in late June, hopefully in time for the summer camp of this upcoming summer, because that'd be preferable so that it can actually be used this year. And that's all I have, so thank you all very much for listening. If anyone has any concerns or questions, please ask me now. I'm sure I'll be able to answer them. Thank you very much for your time.
Well, nice job.
Very nice job. Thank you. Matt, I actually have a question for you. As far as like permits and inspections and stuff, that stuff will be pulled? Do we need to pull that? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, thank you.
Yes.
Just
comment?
a comment and just
Yeah, thank you.
familiarity, just to help Jay too. So this is known as the old lifeguard shack, which is kind of right next to the boathouse at the bottom of the trail that comes down from the upper fields. And I'll send you, if I haven't already, the kind of the lower park map, so you can add that into there to
That's exactly what I was gonna bring
just so they
up.
can
Yeah.
see visually where it is. And so the idea with this project was not only to help, changing stalls for camp, because when you got 20 kids and they're all trying to change the swimming at once, it's a little tricky. But also for the public on the weekends.
Correct.
Right now, we have one porta potty down there for the public, and that's it. There used to be a cabin, what's called the junior camp cabin, that the camp took over before I got here, because they needed, other buildings were coming down and they needed the space. But ever since that happened, there's been no public changing areas for the beach. And since we're also about to undertake a beach renovation project, the
Yeah,
timing of this
timing's
worked out really
perfect,
nicely
yeah.
to coincide to kind of add more value to the project for everybody.
Perfect. Yeah, great idea.
And the other comment I will make is, we did talk about accessibility, and it is stairs unfortunately right there. But trying to add a ramp to this too the project would be another couple $1,000s.
Yeah.
And so maybe that's a future scout project, would be
Correct.
the ramp.
That would be my question. That makes sense.
And that's it.
Anybody else? Yes, Lon, did you have a comment, question?
Yeah, I think Matt just perhaps answered my question, but you mentioned railings will be added to exterior and stairs. That doesn't make us ADA compliant,
No, it doesn't.
and that's not necessary, or?
It's better to have, right now there's stairs with no railing, so that will improve
Just
our
step.
our access. But to make it truly compliant, we need to put a ramp in. Another project.
I'm sure 424 will come up with somebody else. Yes, Maureen, thank you.
I just wanted to say, instead of all these cakes and stuff, I don't know if you know the Lady of Mercy, the church. They make those meatball grinders, and I guess they do really well. They sell them for $5, and a lot of people would rather buy food to eat, and if you did it
Bad idea.
closer to a Patriots game, I mean, people are coming out and say, "Oh, $5 hot meatball grinder." They've been selling like hotcakes.
Did they deliver too, or is it? no? You
Well,
go-
that's up to them.
You go pick them up. You go.
That would be extra if they delivered them. But it's just the idea that, it gives you a different, instead of sweets, maybe a little food. You keep it in a cooler, and you wrap them up. They wrap them up in foil, and I've had them stay hot for at least an hour. In fact, they're having a big sale Sunday.
And who is this?
You should go try them.
What was the source of this, Maureen?
Lady of Mercy.
Lady of Mercy?
Yeah, yeah. They do it for the group. They have the children, well, the adults group.
Oh,
yes.
okay.
And they
Okay,
sell
nice.
them to raise money.
It's a fundraiser.
Yeah.
That's
So
not
it's
a bad
just
idea.
something different instead of cake.
I know how Boy Scouts eat.
I buy a meatball grinder before cake.
That's a great idea.
Right.
And if you add in delivery, ooh, can make some tips.
There's a big
Why do you-
building you're adding to
No, I know. Plus, I can't believe you're driving.
So what? They're scouts, they can do it. Their parents.
Scouting for food, scouting for food.
Well,
That's not a bad suggestion. Any other comments or ideas, or? Did you go to camp at Wasserman ever, yourself?
I did 1 year.
Yeah, yeah.
I was very young, so I don't remember much of it, but I remember enough to know
Yeah.
that it's a pretty,
Oh, yeah, yeah. And that is a nice big building. Of course, at one point, a former chairman thought it would make a great little restaurant by the lake, you know?
There you go, right?
But that's, anyway, well, nice to see you. Good job presenting. You have a very active troupe?
for the most part, yes.
Well, I know how that goes, but you can get quite a few volunteers too. How many people do you think will be working with you at any point, or?
At one given time, probably maximum for like a work day or something, probably maximum maybe like 6 to 8.
Yeah.
But if need be, I could probably get so anywhere to like from like 12 to 15. But I
Perfect.
don't think that'll be necessary.
Okay. No, I know Mr. Faust too. It's awesome. Well, good job. Do I have a motion to accept Jay's proposal, or is there any more discussion? Julie? Thank you, Julie.
And I'll second
a
for you.
second from
Christine.
Christie. I know your name. Any other discussion, comments? All those in favor of accepting Jay Haddad's On His Way to Eagle project at Wasserman, say aye. Raise your
Aye.
hands. And it's unanimous.
9?
9.
Did I count?
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, yes.
Yeah,
Good
9.
job.
Is that 9 0 and 0? Is that the whole?
Yes.
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah.
Nobody abstained
I
and
think it's a
no.
great project.
Yeah,
Yes, thank you very much.
thank you.
And
That was
Jay,
wonderful,
just
Jay.
Logistically, I'll confer with the town council's office tomorrow just to see if that December 12th date is available for them. I haven't looked that far ahead yet, so it should be, but, you know, you never know. So,
Let me check, it wasn't out yet, but that was the date it was lined up to be, so I think it might, I don't know though.
okay, so yeah, I will check with them and actually, are you meeting the 5th and it's the 5th and the 19th? I think it's the 5th and the 19th are the December dates now that I think about it. But I'll check with them and I'll get back to you tomorrow, once I hear from them,
That may
which,
change depending on the budget schedule, so.
yeah,
And the
we'll figure it out.
holiday.
I would
We'll
just
we'll
make
figure it out from there.
Exactly.
And that's the biggest part of this project that young people do, is the timing and the process. It does take a while, but I appreciate you trying
Exactly.
and stepping forward in the community, because young people have a lot to offer. And it's important to be involved in your community, because you can make a difference.
It's nice to see volunteerism going.
And
Absolutely.
I'm amazed at all the Eagle projects that are already at Wasserman. And that's been up to Matt too, but it is a wonderful park, so I appreciate your efforts, and good luck
And I would-
supervising a bunch of kids.
Absolutely. And I would definitely make sure to add that map, like Matt's going to help you with. That's a great idea. And be ready for the question from town council about the ADA compliance, and just say at this point that was in the scope of this project, and that would possibly be another Eagles project down the road. So just keep that in the back of your head, okay?
Yeah, we're.
As
I mean,
is.
Only half the buildings at the park have ramps,
Yeah.
so.
Right.
Including the
Something
office.
we'll wanna do, you know. as-
Moving
as kind of
forward.
The next project that
Yep.
comes through.
Little bites. And I don't know if you know this, but Christine is also co-chair, or chair of the dog park committee that works. So she's pretty good at mapping things out too.
Done a few.
In case you have something in mind for next year.
Yeah.
Dog park, think dogs.
Oh, he's going to be a senior.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that, Mr. Haddad.
Yeah, he's got sisters.
Two younger sisters that'll be doing their Eagle projects.
Yeah.
Isn't that wonderful?
Eagle or gold? Is eagle or gold?
Eagle, they switched to Boy Scouts.
That's
Did they?
awesome.
Wonderful.
Haddads, I'm telling you.
Tell you there. Well, we can't wait to
That
see you
allowed?
guys here again.
That's
That's wonderful.
Okay, moving on. Budget.
All right. So,
Poor
we
Matt.
normally would have done this in October, but obviously I
Correct.
was not here. So it's what's on here and what I'm about to hand out has already been submitted. But
Nice.
realistically, there's not a whole heck of a lot that's changed compared to last year,
It's all right.
which is nice. I'll pass that way and that one that way.
Thank you so much for doing minutes there, lady.
And then
She's
that way and that this way.
Thank you.
And lastly, yeah, I'm giving you lots of paper. I was gonna try and do it on the projector, and it's
Oh,
hard
no,
too hard to read the small lines anyway, so
Can't even
at least you have it in your
slide.
hands. So,
This thing is saved us.
yeah. So, looking through the budget, and I'm just gonna kind of talk in generals, and then if you have questions, you can, we can go from there. The Park and Rec budget has kind of two sections within the budget. We have a general fund budget, which is funded by taxpayers, and then we have our revolving fund, which is self-funded by the programs that we run. So under the general fund, which is the first page of packets, it has the 13 Parks and Rec as the header on the top of the page. Realistically, it's pretty much the same as last year. The only things that really changed on this, it's like utilities costs go up and down year to year, nothing realistically has changed of any significance. The only change realistically on here is on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, on page 6. You'll see the additions, you'll see in a line item called infrastructure. And then infrastructure is our CIP request, capital improvement project request for this coming year. And so we have two. The first one is resurfacing the 7 courts at Wasserman Park, which have not been done in probably 15 years. And they're supposed to be done every 7 to 10. And the other one is the demolition of 3 cabins. And we kind of talked about this back at our September meeting. 2 of the 3 cabins, have structural issues. The rafters are actually pulling apart. And plus they need roofs, plus they need, one of them has, there's actually a big giant pine tree next to one of them, and it's actually heaving the building sideways, and, it's like, is it really worth to spend $40,000 on a building that barely gets used, versus 24 to take the 3 buildings down? So that's, when we talked to my staff this summer, about kind of what we use and how we use it, and obviously with the function hall in particular and the additional uses we've been able to get out of that building, the cabins become a little less important. Now, it is kind of sad to have to take them down, but at the same time, it's just, they're a drain. They're expensive to maintain because they're made out of T111 siding, so they rot constantly, So the second piece is, the second big project under infrastructure is obviously to deal with those 3 cabins, 2 of which have the structural roof issues. The third one is just run down. We've tried to piecemeal it, a little bit here and there, and just, I can't make any kind of headway on it because it's just rough. And so those are kind of the 2 recommendations for us for this year. I'll talk later about the town council process a little bit later, but that's where we are on that side of things. And then when you move to the second packet, which has a header of Parks and Rec revolving fund, the revolving fund, just as a benefit for anybody that happens to be watching from home or whatnot, is 4 years ago at town meeting, town approved the establishment of the revolving fund, and what it essentially means is that all the programs we run, which at last count was about 250, are entirely self-funded, so we don't get any kind of tax dollars to pay for them. They have to pay for themselves. And that has allowed us, obviously, to expand programming and not be relied upon taxpayers to do those types of things. Now, of those 250 programs, a large number of those are kind of small classes, workshops and stuff. We have kind of our staples that we know run every year. Then we have a group that, we'll try it and see what happens. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. And some of them are, like we've got a series of toddler programs that we started this fall that have been doing pretty well, but it's getting, 4, 5, 6 kids in the class. So I'm not really making anything out of them. Now, aside from the direct cost associated with running these programs, specifically salary, supplies, those types of things, all of our programs collectively are tasked with covering a portion of both my salary as well as James's salary, which is given back to the town, to the taxpayers. Now, in our current fiscal year, that allocation was $59,166. I got a little bit of good news a couple of weeks ago in that the allocation for next year is actually going down for the first time, because we've gone, in the time I've been here, it's gone from, it was 20 grand when I started here, and like I said, it's basically 60 this year. And so for it to go back a little ways, that's kind of nice. So, so it's saving us about $5,000 less that we have to recoup for next year. So the way that we do this, and the third handout that I have, the single page that says kind of revolving fund budget, what we do is we take kind of our 8 largest programs, the ones that we kind of know are going to run, Natticook Day Camp, our Trek program, our drama camp, swimming lessons, tennis, school vacation weeks, our wilderness medical training, and lately our murder mystery dinner. And we take those programs and recoup that, or plan to recoup that $54,000 from those 8 programs, instead of trying to do it on everything. And so as you look through the programs, you'll see, so Natticook Day Camp for next year has to cover 68% of that $54,000. It's the largest program, takes the most amount of time and resources, so it makes sense. Now, you may ask why we don't build the cost into every program. As I mentioned earlier, we run several hundred programs a year. Some run, some don't. We're always trying kind of new stuff. One of the surprising ones this fall, we actually started we've been doing a blacksmithing workshop over at a forge over in Milford. and it's sold out every time it's been offered so far, who knew? So sometimes it takes a couple of years for new programs to really take off. And so again, we kind of rely on the things that we know are gonna run. Now, you'll notice that that bus trips are not one of the major 8 categories. We do run a fair number of bus trips, it's really difficult to plan 18 months in advance for budgeting purposes. Okay, in 18 months from now, I'm gonna run a bus trip to Washington DC, and it's gonna generate $5,000 in revenues. Now, we had 475 people go on a bus trip with us last year, which generated $24,000 in revenues, but it cost us $23,000 to run those programs. Now, based on the size of the program, it would be like 8% of the budget, which would be like $3,000 or $4,000, which I can't cover because I'm only making $1,000. I can't just simply increase the cost of a bus trip, because bus trips, and Maureen will know this, it's a funny business, and it's really, sometimes it's walking a fine line. And the example I like to use is our New York City bus trip, which is our most popular trip. We do it twice a year. For years, we'd get 35, 40 people, which would be enough to run, wouldn't make a whole lot of money. But at the time, we were charging $70 a day for the day. But we weren't filling the bus. And so oftentimes we have to partner with other towns to try and fill the bus and make it worthwhile. 2 years ago, I was able to get a better price from the bus company that we use, and then we dropped the price to $60. For the last 2 years, not only has that trip to New York in December sold out, but I've sold out 2 buses. So we've been taking 110 people to New York City the last 2 years. This year, I opened up registration for New York on July 5th, or July 3rd. I was sold out by July 5th, and I had 150 people on a waiting list. Now, I wasn't going to 3 buses. 2 was bad enough, but I wasn't going to 3. And so it's one of those, $10 can make all the difference in the world on whether something runs or not. So, but at the same time, it's kind of a nice cushion if camp expectations are suddenly low one year, a difference of, 5 fewer kids a week, it could be, $10,000, so every little bit kind of helps, but we don't assume that it is going to make that money. Now with that, for the summer, realistically, it's going to be kind of status quo. Our Nanticoke Day Camp and our teen trek program both sold out last summer. So we're actually going to be increasing the capacity at both programs. Nanticoke is going to go from 90 kids a week to 105. Trek is going to go from 30 kids to 50 a week. And the nice thing about doing that is I can actually add some additional things into camp, add some extra benefits without having to raise the cost of camp next year. So that will be nice, because last year we had to do a $15 price jump and I was nervous about doing it, but I had to do it. And so that's how all of that works. And so the second packet, the revolving fund packet, just gives you kind of the breakdown of each of those major programs and how we come up with those calculations. And then the third piece is just the kind of the one pager of how we come up with that number, or what that number represents to get to us to the $54,000. Questions on any of that?
When did we start the revolving fund? 4 years, did you say?
4 years ago. So,
That's the biggest.
well, and again,
Most
4 years ago,
positive
we were
step.
running 25 programs a year.
Yeah.
And now we're 250. And now if I can just get some consistency in staffing, then, we'll get to 350 or 4, but.
Goes with the deal, yeah.
But, realistically, the budget isn't changing a whole heck of a lot for us this year, so hopefully it'll be smooth sailing for us when we get to the budget. Questions? I know it's a lot to throw at you, but.
Shannon is.
Yeah, I'm actually looking at your first packet, which is just the overall budget.
Yeah.
Revolving is self-funding, so for me, that's usually not the one that we worry about the most.
Yeah.
Because you have it pretty well in hand. But I'm not seeing anything related to the skate park.
There is a line, it's under skate park does not, are you talking about maintenance or are you talking about changing or building a new one?
No, I'm talking about maintenance. 'cause
Okay, yeah, there is it's bundled in under,
Oh, right here, skate park ramps.
yeah,
Sorry.
it's building grounds and maintenance. It's, right now, it's built in as a soft 2240 a year, and it's been that level for several years, but depending on what needs to get done, obviously, that number goes up and down, and we end up spending less on other things out of that same fund.
Gotcha. And I know that we haven't put any investment in the basketball court that's also in that same recreational area for a number of years. So I don't know if there's any plans to take some basic care of that. I think there was nets. I think people actually donated nets one year. I think put them up.
I mean, we've put up nets, I know, most years. There hasn't been any specific plan to do any additions, and part of that is the town, I think, doesn't necessarily want to spend a ton of money in case we have to vacate the site and, rip it out and, those kinds of things, which is always kind of in the back of our heads. But, I mean, basic maintenance should be continuing to be done.
Okay, thank you.
Perfect. Anybody else? Quick question, I just lost the thought. Any discussion at all about the turf at the high school
No,
field, or nobody?
that's,
Okay, we haven't
out of my
revisited-
realm.
Yeah, Laura, that would fall under our budget,
Okay,
and
okay,
and so that would
Well,
not
the
be
whole
Matt's-
approach.
Matt's headache.
okay, never mind. Okay, I've been moving on, thank you. The meetings next month and January.
All right,
We
so,
have some fun events
we-
happening in that.
yeah, so this committee has not typically met in December. Our normally regularly scheduled meeting is December 18th, which is just under a month from now. Normally, we would jump to January, but I've been informed that our Parks and Rec budget will be presented to the town council on Wednesday, January 15th, which would conflict with this meeting. So we have a couple of options. We can find a different week in January to meet. Would have to be later in the month because the week before I am tied up with another conflict. You guys could meet without me, but both meeting rooms here at Town Hall are booked and the function hall at Wasserman Park is booked, so finding a location to meet that night without me would be a challenge. We could meet in December and skip January, but the caveat to that option, as I shared with you by email, I've had some health issues. Yes, so my surgery has been scheduled for December 12th. I'm supposedly out 4 to 5 days, which would put us up to December 17th. So,
So the meeting's in your hospital room.
could be. If you want to drive to Burlington, Mass, that's fine, but, Leahy, that's right. So, so those are kind of our options, and, I don't know that we really want, not that we necessarily have anything pressing, but I don't know that we necessarily want to wait till February in case another Scout project comes along or something,
We don't want to stress you. You don't need stress.
Oh, I'm beyond that, so.
What's the availability on December 11th, a week, 1 week prior?
I was gonna say that for January too, what about just a different week in January? And that would-
December 11th is the night before my surgery, so I'm not, personally, I'm not sure I really want to do it that night.
Okay, so a week before that,
The week before that would be the 4th, which is in 2 weeks.
yeah.
So what, we've got in January, we've got January 8th
So January
or January 22nd?
January 8th, I have a conflict with, but I could do the 22nd or the 29th.
And what was the 15th again?
The 15th is my presentation to the council on the budget. I can't make this stuff up, I really
Oh,
can't.
no, I understand it.
I didn't realize they had a meeting on Wednesday.
They changed, last year was Mondays and Thursdays, and this year they changed it to Wednesday and Thursday.
Messing us,
So,
But you're all set for the budget for the 15th.
I'm fine with the budget.
Okay.
We decided Wednesday was a good time.
Well, I think Mondays were conflicting with school board as well, so.
There's that too, yeah. The 8th was bad for me of January.
So probably January 22nd.
I'm thinking, I was thinking the 22nd too, because that way we've got a little bit more time then between the next meeting in February. We're not just bumping them right up against each other, it'd be 2 weeks apart again.
Right. Yep,
How are we all set for, the holiday parade?
I'll get to that.
Oh.
We're not up to that part of my report yet,
Do we have to vote on the meeting date?
Yes. I think we do.
probably. So you need a motion.
Do I need to make, I can't make a
Okay.
motion.
So I move that,
already made a
yeah,
motion.
Why
I
can't
move
you
that
make
we
a
vote the
motion?
meeting to January 22nd. Our next meeting's January 22nd.
And I'll second.
Second. I have a second. All those in favor of Wednesday, January 22nd?
Somebody count.
1, 2, 3,
9.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
9.
And I'll
Nine.
I'll check the calendar to see which room is available, but I don't, because I haven't gotten that far yet.
Okay.
Listen, I'm planning on hibernating this year, so, you need to
That's-
hibernate too.
I'm working on it.
Right.
So there's, all right, moving on.
Moving on.
All right, so let's start with old business, Wasserman Park, me again. So tomorrow, I have the fun,
I saw the town.
whatever,
council.
of talking to the town council about Wasserman Park and just history, future, all of the above, which will then lead into a second meeting agenda talk about, which is specifically on the beach. Obviously, we did not get the beach project started this fall as we had originally hoped, but so it's kind of an update of all that, and DPW should have at least some basic engineering drawings by tomorrow, and we met today, so, and get some more questions answered, and
A lot of tomorrow night will be just fact gathering and where we're at, and, okay.
basically.
Okay. 'Cause it's
And
not just you that's doing
so it's
this.
not just me, it's me and Don Tuamala from
Correct.
DPW.
And I.
So that is tomorrow night. If you can make it, great. The council meetings, as Lon knows, are riveting. And then while we're there, I just found out this afternoon that, no, this is good, actually. So, last year we moved the ice skating rink from O'Gara to Watson Park. They're actually started setting it up now, so it'll
Wow.
open hopefully in another month. We obviously have not yet had the funding available to put lights in. Public Works has come up with a proposal, and I had it in my CIP budget for 2 years from now. DPW has come up with a proposal potentially to do it this year.
Sweet. Sweet.
So he is making a plan to the council, a pitch to the council tomorrow, about the possible addition of lights, and if the council says yes, then it would be for this year. So that'll be another nice addition if they say yes. So we'll see how that goes.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, the rink is already started. They got the framing in already. It's gazebo's here and the rink is over there. It was. It's all good. Okay, so I'm up with the update for the dog park. Dog park's going well. We finished our cleanup day, which is essentially as it sounds. We went in and everything was basically removed. Anything that was still in good condition was sanitized, including dishes and tough toys, and brought back. So we're winter prepped and ready to go. Yes, thank you.
People there all the time.
There is, it's happening.
By in the funniest times.
It's one of the busiest
There's
parts of
3
the
or
park.
4
All,
cars there
yeah,
always.
yeah. It is. And so we did have some broken lawn chairs, the plastic ones, and those were put by the dumpster. And I don't know if the company will take those. I saw them 2 weeks in a row, so I meant to send you an email and I didn't. So my apologies.
They probably go in the dumpster and then they'll take
Well, they didn't.
that comes in, so.
They didn't.
They won't pick it up.
they didn't fit, so I didn't know if we would recycle them at the dumpster. I don't have a truck, so I couldn't do it. So, I just wanted to reach out to you, what
Take
you
it
thought
out,
was
break
best.
them up and throw 'em in.
Well, I mean, they're plastics.
For Thanksgiving.
Some of them are, but for safety reasons, we opted for removing them. Let's see, so that was that. And then there's been some discussion from patrons about, the mulch had gone down the hill, and originally when we got the load in the spring, we didn't have enough manpower to get the top as thick as we wanted to last the year, so there's been some discussion about possibly going ahead and, getting a small load in for the fall and like really put it up by the fence on the top. So that's the request we have here today, to use 600 of our, I don't have my glasses on, folks. Thank you. $600, up to $600, so roughly it'd be about 20 yards, $30 a yard of the playground mulch to go ahead and get us through the rest of the fall into winter and early spring. So that was, I think that was it. And I guess I would like a motion to approve up to $600 expenditure on mulch, if we can get it in this late in the year for the dog park.
So moved.
Thank you.
Yay, Shannon. Second?
You need a second?
Thank you, Rick.
Thank you.
And all those in favor of up to $600 from the best bark mulch for doggies?
That's right.
Not from my pocket, so.
Thank you. All right, you get the
Still
numbers?
got 900.
That was easy.
Well, you kind of knew. Good. Well, good job. Thank you very
I was
much,
gonna
Christine.
send Barley around
Thank
the
you.
room if anybody said no.
Oh, he's looking too. All right, Mr. Director.
All right, back to me again.
That's all right.
So I guess
Doing
first I'll
great.
start with an announcement, because I thought Laura was going to do it at the beginning, but she didn't. But I got an email this afternoon that Hillary Baird is stepping down from Parks and Rec Committee. So
Oh,
we
yeah, I
have
forgot.
another opening on the committee. We still have one because we never filled Corey's spot.
All right, right.
So if you know anybody, we now will have two. Two openings.
Yeah.
So that was this
The high
afternoon.
school student? Thank you. Yeah, I forgot.
Halloween party
Whoa.
was huge.
Whew.
Over 1,000 people, one of our biggest years. We had people parked out on Natticook Road.
Oh.
I mean, every lot was full, grass was full, just everywhere. And one of the things that we've been asking ourselves this question for a couple of years is, and we've been kind of resistant to change it, but is maybe we've outgrown the park for the event. If we're selling out, I mean, realistically, you can fit probably 700 cars in there. And we're still, they're backing out onto the main road. And so I every year I kind of think about, well, do we go to and ask the schools for space and maybe do it outside still and then have the indoors as a rain space, or, I don't know the answer to that question yet, but we're thinking about it, because it's just,
I really enjoy Wasserman.
I do too.
I think it's it's a beautiful spot for it, right? And there's still, in our events and in our decorations, we still have room to grow.
Yeah.
So maybe on that thought, we could put on a note for next year's, maybe we can bus people
Well, and
in
that's
from
one
our
of the other
school,
things.
shuttle them over. and
One of the
maybe-
things we were thinking about was a shuttle from maybe Veterans Park or something like that.
think
But
that's-
again, there's an
I like that
expense
idea.
and,
Yeah.
I don't know yet. So
Mhm.
I'm just pointing it out there because it was one of the discussions we've had.
Does Camp Sargent have any event for, that's
They
not,
always do an event.
But it's
Theirs is
never
on
the same.
Saturday
Yeah,
and it's
yeah.
usually in the afternoons.
Okay.
Actually, most years it's the
Well-
next day after ours.
Yeah.
But this year it was a week
Yeah.
earlier than ours. But usually it's the next day, so. But I mean, because the other challenge with Wasserman at night is just having enough lights to, the MYA lets
you
lends
had
us
a
their light
ton up,
towers.
but that's a lot of work. to
But
prep.
it's
a lot of
tricky
work.
to lay things out enough for people to be able to see,
It's a lot of prep work.
So it's one of those things that we're kind of still thinking about. We might try, what we may do is for the winter carnival, which can have the same problem, but it's a daytime event, so at least we're not worried about the lights, is maybe we'll try busing for that. and see how that goes, and then that'll help us decide for next year
okay.
on. So that's
Did
kind of
you
what.
have something else? Tracy had her hand up, I think.
Yeah, one of the things that I noticed, being out helping direct traffic
Yes.
at Halloween was, there was a little bit of confusion with respect to parking, and I think that a lot of the cars that were out on Natticook Road didn't need to be there.
Okay.
I think that this is a good opportunity for us to maybe sit down with the police department, and whoever their volunteer might be, or maybe have somebody from Parks and Recs train with them, or at least have a meeting with them, so we can talk about exactly how the plan is gonna be, so it can go a little bit more smoothly, because truth be told, without any communication, the left didn't know what the right side was doing, and then the left side refused to listen to the right side.
And that is the other issue we have with this event. The police volunteers are the ones that have handled parking at this event and most of our events for years. And they're having trouble getting volunteers.
I saw
And
the
that's-
applications they were requesting on the internet.
And so that's one of the challenges. And so the other issue is we might have to start paying for a detail or a couple of details to deal with that. So, again, we run this event on, so Halloween's run on about $1,200 budget, and but if I start investing in and details in and, it makes my ability to do other things for free go away, So that's the other balance.
Well, might have to start looking for like a business sponsor kind of thing for the
Yeah.
event, like Lions Club or local business or something like that, So it might be something to consider.
But I will, I'm sorry, go ahead, Lon.
I think it's a good idea to check if there's any way of coordinating or training with the police detail. Because if you hark back to July 4th, and they moved that venue this year, and one of the comments made at the council pre the event was they were hoping it would go smoothly with regard to people getting used to parking somewhere else, or so.
Yeah.
I think your observations are very much to point, and it would be very, very helpful to check with the
Yeah.
police.
Yep.
I think, being there, I gave me a different perspective of it and watching things. And when it was, okay, I'm gonna butcher his name, so I'm not gonna say it. But when the officer came, the paid police officer who works out in the public, who can direct traffic in a very demonstrative voice, when he got there, it was like, there, park there, park there. It was perfectly orchestrated. And I followed his lead. I did what he told me to do. I did what he told me to do. But I think that if we were all on the same page.
Well, and again, they used to send me, 5 or 6 or 8 volunteers for this
Right.
event. So then you have, each intersection plus in the parking lots and that kind of thing. And this year they sent 1 volunteer. And so it's just, she couldn't do much, by herself. So it's,
That makes it difficult.
but again, if you were, so then if, one of the benefits of going to, say, a school, say you did it at the parking lot in front of the high school. Now you've got the side lots for all the parking, you're not dealing with lights, you're not dealing with traffic congestion, again, I don't know the answer yet. We're still kind of working on Winter Carnival to see, because we potentially have the same issue there, with parking, so, our events are getting successful. More and more every year, it gets busier. Easter, same thing. And, so we have to adapt to that. So whether that means paid police details, more volunteers, different, volunteers are tough.
Yeah. Tough.
We go from there.
But I will commend you, Matt. It was a fabulous setup, and we did draw some people from out of town, whole families, but they were amazed, and a lot of young families, with everybody dressed up, the parents, the grandparents. I mean, the costumes were over the top. The adults with the kids and a lot of babies, just saying.
Okay.
Thank you, Matt.
Anyway,
Anyway,
moving on. So
Turkey.
our next event is Saturday, is our Thanksgiving scavenger hunt. This is our third year doing this event. We usually end up with 50 or 60 people. Right now, we've got probably 30 or so, but they all tend to wait till the day before. And, I mean, we only charge $5 for the event, but basically, we send them to find places out throughout town. You know, we've changed it up a little bit, so instead of just picking the 12 clues, looking at it and going, okay, I'm going to go here, 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 here. Now, this year, it's going to be clue 1 is going to take you to clue 2, clue 2 is going to take you to 3, and each person is going to have a different series of clues, so they're not all going in the same order. So it's going to make it a little more challenging this year. But the idea is the first 3 families that come back win a Thanksgiving turkey. So they get a 17-pound turkey, which I bought the other day, which is in my freezer at work, for a nice, you know, and it's just a fun, quick 2-hour event that's coming up on Saturday. So anybody listening at home, you can still sign up. Yeah, it's a fun day. Coming up in 2 weeks, yes, sorry.
Will you need volunteers for this, or?
I don't this year.
All right, cool.
Because we changed it up, we actually had some businesses jump in too to staff some of the things. So there are some businesses that are locations this year instead of just a park, but thank you. But where I will need volunteers is the next event, which is the holiday parade.
she's got a march.
Oh, that's right. That's right. So Sunday, December 8th is the holiday parade this year, you know, and it's funny because I booked the event this year. I had it all set in my head. So I said, okay, it's the first Sunday in December. So we'll do December 1st. And then right after that, I booked my bus trip to New York on December 7th, which is the Saturday. And then I was talking to our Santa Claus, and come to find out that December 1st is Thanksgiving weekend, and I went, oh. So we have our 18-hour bus trip to New York, followed by, you know, although I will say James is going on the bus trip to New York, and I found one of my other staff to take my place on the bus trip to New York.
Okay.
So I'll only be dealing with the parade this year. So anyway, Sunday, December 8th, so we have 3 events actually going on that day. Which is what we always do. But first one is an event in partnership with Macaroni Kid, which for those that don't know is a free local parent newsletter. So we do a candy cane scavenger hunt at Twin Bridge Park between 2 and 3 p.m. They have like 4,000 candy canes. They divide them up into 3 different groups. 2 of the groups will be on the baseball field at Twin Bridge, and the oldest kids will actually be on the playground structure. And in addition to the candy canes that they can find, there are, kind of like with an Easter egg hunt, there are kind of golden tickets that you can find to win other prizes. The last time I checked, the Macaroni Kid handles the registration for that, which is free. But last time I checked, there was something like 700 people registered for it.
Let's have some more candy.
So for a free event. So that's the first piece. The second piece of the day is the parade, which starts at 3 from the Commons Shopping Plaza. Our theme this year is superheroes.
All right.
We're currently working on getting groups and individuals to register floats. We're up to 15 or 16, I think, at last count, which is about, I mean, we're usually somewhere in the 15 to 20 range most years. I can't get people out the door, you know.
But Lions are doing a float this year.
Lions are doing this float. I could use some volunteers if anybody's available. We have put in a request from the Interact Club, as well as we had gotten some volunteers from SNHU for Halloween, so I'm looking, both of them hopefully will send me some volunteers, but if anybody from the committee is available, I could use help from kind of 1:30 to about 3:15 at Tractor Supply. Which is just getting the floats in order. And again, there's only 16 of them or 20 of them, so it's not July 4th. Yeah, that's a whole different animal. So it goes pretty smoothly, you know, but I can't do it by myself. So
We're not doing a float, correct?
and we are not doing a float. So then the third of the event, which obviously the parade kicks off, it comes down, ends here at Town Hall, and then we go right to Abbey Griffin Park. Tree lighting begins at approximately 3:45. It's basically when Santa gets there, and he's at the end of the parade. We know we have the high school marching band playing. We know we have Broadway Bound doing a dance number. We have Miss Merrimack is going to be singing. We have food from the Girl Scouts, or food and hot chocolate, and probably other things that we're still kind of wrapping up. So, and that usually goes from 3:45 till about 4:30. And so it's a, quick couple of hours, 3 events condensed into about 4 hours. But last year we probably had 600 people at the tree lighting, and that was the rescheduled tree lighting with the rain and the thunderstorms we had last year, so. Which we're not gonna have this year, because I've already forbid it, so. But, so that is what we got going on.
Well, thank you, Matt, and we all.
I will say for his benefit, I literally had to send him a text on that. I was in the hospital for 3 days, and they discharged me on a Saturday night and kind of said, okay, follow up with your doctor on Monday. Here's some medication, And I called my doctor Monday, and so I literally had to text him on Monday morning going, I'm out until further notice. Here's the urgent things, including a bus trip that I was supposed to run. Good luck, and then of course my doctor was on vacation that week, and it was all good. So he did a fabulous job, and I ended up being out for 2 weeks, and he did a fabulous job while I was out. So
And he was one of the key disguises. I thought his disguise. He had a costume with a hat that came down and came around, and he had little contacts in his eyes that glowed. It was pretty cool. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, We've got you. We've got you back, so keep moving. All right, any other comments? Go ahead, young lady. Yeah, and welcome back. I'm glad you're feeling
Thank you.
better.
Well, I took a medical vacation,
Good.
7 weeks.
Yeah. I can't
Flat.
believe it was that long. Yeah.
Well, me either, so I missed a lot of things in the seniors, but I know some of the things they did. Mount Washington was the first trip that I signed up for and ended up in the hospital, but thank God I wasn't on the boat. Oh, my God. The seniors had a successful fair on the 19th, which I guess without me, which disappointed me. I thought it would be lousy, but it wasn't. I guess it was really good. Yeah. Did you tell her? Yeah, you're up on it. You're up on it. And then Johnny Mathis, they had signups. They're full, and I guess they're going on December 4th. And the bus is full. Are you going, Lon? Because you could sing like him, right? Okay. And then we're having a Christmas fair, a Christmas party for all the seniors, our Christmas annual party on the 7th. And I'm glad you changed the parade to the 8th, because the American Legion is having a free meal for the seniors, their Christmas thing. But other than that, I don't know what happened, because I wasn't there. I was busy laying in a bed.
Glad you're here and feeling better.
Thank you. I thank you. I got hundreds of cards. I mean, it's embarrassing. I didn't know that many people liked me. I thought.
going to send you one if you were.
Oh, yeah. There's still time. I have 4 more months to recoup, so. 4 more months. I am. I'm trying.
Okay, Rick, thanks for coming.
Thank you. Fall sports recently wrapped up their seasons, including soccer, fall baseball, and fall softball. Winter sports are just about to begin, including basketball and wrestling. And unfortunately, our website is currently down and being rebuilt, though each individual sport does have their own site, and I don't want to list them all here. But I'll give them or add them into the minutes, and they can all be accessed on the internet. And that's all I have right now.
Oh, wait a minute. Did you find a secretary?
We have hired someone to do some of our accounting, yeah. So that started about a month ago, and
Missed you saying that.
yeah, yeah. So that's going well, and going to I think help the whole program. You're welcome.
And Yvonne, anything to add?
We await your presence tomorrow at the council meeting, and I'll let
Yeah.
Matt's report.
Abs- Sure.
Tracy, those are the sites.
That's it, huh? All right, Shannon, nice to see you.
Good to see you too. Thank you for indulging me. Sorry I was late. I was literally
Oh.
in another meeting and then walking to this
You're
meeting.
amazing.
So if you wouldn't mind, I will yield for the student rep so I don't steal her thunder, because the last time I did that, I stole her thunder. So go for it. Go ahead.
First of all, we have a winter coat drive going on at the school. It's going to end on the 13th. We particularly need men's clothing, so if you have anything to drop off, it can be dropped off at the main lobby. Thanksgiving break starts next week. Everyone is very excited. And the last thing that's going on is football has just recently ended with the team losing, unfortunately, to Exeter in the semifinals last week, but it's amazing that they got there. So.
When's basketball start?
Oh, I'm not sure. I keep up with the football for marching band purposes.
Oh, yeah.
Quite soon.
Pretty soon.
Yeah, a couple weeks, I believe.
In the winter clothing, that's all clothing though, or?
Particularly coats,
Coats
but I
for
believe
men.
they accept other things generally all times.
As
And
long
there's
as they're-
also other lists if you go to our school website of other
Thank
things they need.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay,
And school board, so we are in the throes of budgets, so I know the one that really impacts this board would be the turf field. We are not putting it in the upcoming budget. I know it just kind of went out to the voters this past year. I think that there needs, we as a board definitely feel like a more solid funding plan that would involve donation needs to be in place, so it's not a direct burden to the taxpayer. And so we are working on that, and there's so at this point, the budget will be status quo.
Likewise.
You're gonna be fine, and it's 8:15.
Yeah.
I just have to be careful not to fall. If I can make it, you can make it. I know, So do I have a motion at 8:15?
Sure. Last one here, first one to ask.
Second, thank you, Maureen, and glad you're back, and we'll see you on January 22nd. Wednesday, but hopefully before then.
I assume we're all in favor?
All in favor? Aye.
Yes.
Nice hit.